Now, how many people out here in the audience, just give me a quick hand raise, actually know how much dietary fat they take in their diet every day? Anyone know? Anyone keep track? I don't see one hand. I see maybe one guy, maybe. All right. Why is it important to know how much dietary fat you take in? Well, how many people here, let me ask another question. How many people here know how much daily protein you take into your diet every day? Anyone? You don't know? Yeah, I see guys that compete, they don't even know how much protein they're taking in. How many people think that they take in more than 200 grams of protein a day? All right, much more hands, okay? How many people think they take in more than 100 grams of fat per day? Okay, I got one hand. My point I'm trying to make is most people know or have some awareness of the protein level that they're consuming every day, but they don't know how much dietary fat they're taking in. And this is a problem, especially if you're trying to maximize fat loss and muscle gains and maximize health. The reason being that just like there's essential protein and essential amino acids, there's essential fatty acids that we need to take in. If you don't consume these fats every day, the body will not grow properly and recover from workouts. The body won't make hormones adequately, and the body won't burn fat properly. Now, you might be asking, well, why won't the body burn fat adequately if I'm not taking in enough fat? Well, because the body has these, I call sensors, okay, essentially. It senses if it's got the right stuff coming into the body. And if the body is lacking in certain essential fatty acids, it doesn't understand that it's just a couple of fatty acids that it doesn't have. It thinks there's a general restriction or a general starvation of fat. So what it does is it hoards fat. And in women, it hoards fat in their lower body, and in men, it hoards it around your waist. So if you notice that when you're dieting, and you're a woman, you have stubborn lower fat stores, or as a man, you have stubborn abdominal fat stores, it could be that you're not taking in enough essential fatty acids. Now, what are these essential fats? Well, let me just, for instance, break down fats into 3 categories for you, okay, to make it real simplistic. Animal or saturated fats are what you get from like red meat, whole eggs, chicken to a certain degree. We do need saturated fat in the body, but we don't need a lot of it, okay? So we need some saturated fats, so you should be eating some whole eggs. You should be getting a little red meat. If you're not a red meat eater, I would recommend some whole eggs, because that's a good way to get saturated fats. Even coconut oil gives you a little saturated fat. That's a pretty healthy source of them as well. The majority of your fat intake should come from what we call the monounsaturated fats, which are like your extra virgin olive oil, your macadamia nut oil that I just talked about, your avocado oil. But the category of essential fats are known as your polyunsaturated fats. These are plant fats that the body cannot synthesize on their own. There's 2 families of these essential fats. One is called omega-3 fats, one are called the omega-6 fats. The omega-3s, a lot of people kind of are becoming aware of because people are talking about them a lot. That's your fish oil, your flaxseed oil. What a lot of people don't realize is that human beings cannot convert plant sources of omega-3 fats into usable form very efficiently. We just can't do it. You give a cow a whole field of grass and they'll turn that grass into usable omega-3s. Humans cannot do it though. We eat flaxseed, which we know is super high in omega-3 fats, and we can't convert it to usable form. We don't have the enzyme systems. So what do we have to do? To get the usable form of the omega-3s, which is known as DHA and EPA, we got to eat animal sources of it. What are the animal sources of omega-3 fats? Well, salmon, the fatty fishes, salmon, swordfish, sardines, stuff like that. Great source, mackerel, great sources of omega-3 usable fats. If any of you eat grass-fed beef. Grass-fed beef, okay, is a very high source of omega-3 fats. Omega-3 eggs, which they sell in the supermarket, the whole egg we're talking about, the yolk. What they do is they feed the chickens flaxseed, okay, instead of corn, and all their fats, or more predominance of their fats in the yolks, become omega-3 fats, very healthy. Now, so you can gear your food intake by increasing your consumption of omega-3 eggs, by adding some salmon, swordfish into your diet, by buying some grass-fed beef or buffalo. They have websites you can purchase it from. Sometimes even like Whole Foods sells them. Or, because you should do some from food. I would recommend you take a supplement, okay? You don't need a lot of omega-3 and omega-6 fats. but you do need to take in some. I say you probably need about 6 grams of each. That's 12 grams a day total of essential fats. Not a lot. It's a lot easier, though, to take them in supplement form. What that means is you should be taking a fish oil supplement, and you should be taking something for your essential omega-6 fats. I recommend evening primrose oil. I like that as a good source of what we call GLA, okay? There's other versions of GLA you can get from borage oil if you want. But the easiest is fish oil and primrose oil. And to make it easy for you guys, what I did was I created a supplement. I really did it for myself. I'm a pretty selfish guy, but I figure as long as I did it for myself, I might as well share it with everyone else. I created a supplement called Omega-Lyze, which contains 3,000 milligrams of fish oil per day and 2,600 milligrams of evening primrose oil per day with a 30-day supply. So I put it all together. Now what other companies don't, you might see some omega-3 and 6s in the store that they sell. The problem is they never put fish oil and primrose oil together. They always put the plant sources together. So you might see flaxseed and primrose together, okay? Or they won't, or they won't put it in a high enough dosage. You need about 3 each. You take in a little less 6, a little more 3s. That's usually the rule of thumb, the ratio. And this is so easy to do. You take 3 pills twice a day with breakfast and with dinner. I mean, and you don't have to worry about fats ever. You never have to worry about essential fats. It's a no-brainer, really. This is one of these things that everyone should take. And you know what? Most people, I have a lot of people that come to me as clients and say I have cholesterol problems. As soon as they start taking this, they go back to the doctor, and the doctor said, "What did you do?" And they just tell them, "I just started an essential fatty acid supplement." And boom, all of a sudden your cholesterol profiles go back to normal. You know why we have heart disease in this country? The reason we have heart disease in this country is we eat animals that eat the wrong foods. So we essentially poison our animals by giving the cows grain, which is corn, instead of grass. We feed the fish, the farm-raised fish, corn instead of letting them eat other fish or water vegetation. And then we go and eat those animals. So we make the animals unhealthy, and then we eat the unhealthy animals, and then we wonder why we get unhealthy. You know, grass-fed beef, cattle, don't need to be given antibiotics. They don't get sick. But corn-fed or grain-fed cows need to be fed antibiotics with their food because otherwise they get diseases. Why? Because they're not supposed to be eating corn. They're eating the wrong diet. Imagine if you ate corn all day. You would not look like you do now. You would not have all that muscle, okay? You would be a fat man on a couch, okay? So you are what you eat. It really is. So you got to watch your food intake. I know it can get crazy out there if you want to start eating organic. I mean, you could spend a fortune on foods, but really the bottom line is never eat farm-raised fish. Terrible for you. Always go for wild if you have the option. Now I go to the supermarket and I see you could buy wild-caught flounder frozen, and it's cheap. Okay, just always look for wild. Never buy farm-raised fishes. Okay. Now meats are a different story. It's harder to get. It's harder to find grass-fed beef. But I actually order grass-fed buffalo from a website. If you go to my DavePalumbo.com website, you can find grass. I have a link there to a place that actually will do free shipping with you, because a lot of times these frozen beefs that come to you, the shipping is what kills you on the price. But they're very reasonable. It's like $6 a pound for ground buffalo, grass-fed, and I got news for you. The grass-fed buffalo has more omega-3 fats, more than salmon do. It's amazing. And now you don't have to worry about eating. Now you don't have to worry about eating red meat and being unhealthy. Okay. And everyone knows red meat is great for building muscle. But if you eat too much of it, you're going to get heart disease. So go with the grass-fed if you have the option.
Love me 2 times, baby.